last question.
Okay.
Do you, when your creative team makes a choice, when you send that person through for approval, do you typically pin more than one person for that job? Meaning, do you ask them for a backup choice? Are you pinning usually more than once, or more than one person, or generally just one person?
Just one.
Okay,
We used to pin
cool.
more like before, but that has changed over the years where
Yeah,
like there was a time where you probably pinned three because you would
yeah,
send three choices to the network or the studio and
yeah,
network they would choose. But that
yeah.
was also before you sent every audition. Sometimes you just send the names. Like remember back in the
Oh,
day when you didn't have to
oh
read
God, I
every single girl?
do,
Like
and it just feels like a distant dream.
I know, right? It was so nice.
Oh God, it was so nice. Well,
Uh-huh.
that's really interesting because, you hear like I was talking to an actor the other day who said, they were talking to a casting friend who said they do not send any choices to producers unless they have been pinned and confirmed their availability first.
Oh wow. I mean, by the way, that's so much work. Like
It's a lot of
so
work,
much
and
time.
it's a
And
lot
then
of
you have
hope
to unpin
getting the.
them too.
I
Like
know.
if you do that, a lot of people don't unpin, which I think is
Yes,
like if you're going to pin someone, then you owe them
completely agree.
courtesy of
Yeah,
unpinning.
yeah,
But
agreed.
during COVID, I did actually start to try to let reps know that I was sending their clients audition on to producers because there was so much feedback out in the world of people
Mhm,
just getting frustrated. Like they
mhm,
send in their self tape and it goes out into the void and then they never hear anything. And so, in an
yeah.
effort to try to give back a little bit as far as like acknowledging people's work, I did email like we're sending them on to producers. They did a great job. I didn't do that to the people we weren't sending on, but and I couldn't do it all the time, but I did try to do that as much as possible just to.
I think that's great, and it is, sometimes it's not feasible with the timeline that we have, but I think it would be a really nice thing when there is time, even if it's an assistant who has a little bit of time to just say, "Hey, just FYI," because, we actors talk about this a lot, this feeling of sending their audition off into the void with no
Yep.
feedback. And the truth is, sometimes not having a pin or no feedback just leaves them with their thoughts of it wasn't good enough, or nothing's happening. When in reality, your tape could be getting sent through
Right.
more than 50% of the time, which means people are watching your tape and they're appreciating your work, and you just don't know about it. And
Exactly.
sometimes a little bit of that positive feedback can help you just keep going and not dim your light. So I love that
Right.
you did that. I think, it's something that just made me want to think about when I have a moment to do more of that. Just a quick little email, just letting we love the tape, we're sending it through, we'll keep you posted.
Exactly. We also were always very clear in our appointments, like, these are our outside dates. Please let us know of any conflicting dates within that period, even if it was a one
Yes.
day guest star or one day
Yes.
co-star or whatever. And
Right.
then when we would get tapes in,
Mhm.
or sorry, or we would say, please don't tape if you're not going to be available the entire, especially because our show was so all
Oh
over
yeah,
the place
I
schedule
can't
wise
imagine
that
that. Yeah.
so people would generally put their dates if they weren't available and we would look at those, and if it
Yeah.
wasn't an issue, if it didn't conflict with anything and we loved
Right.
their tape, we would send it on.
Yeah.
um, but a lot of times if we love their tape and they had those dates in there, those would be the people that we would call and follow up with the rep saying like, just want to confirm like they're out of town these days and they get back on this day, and then they would be completely available and they'd be like, let me double check and get back to us.
Right.
So you
And then
know
they say yes, and then it turns out they're not available. Ha
we had that a couple of times. We had that
ha.
a couple
Yeah.
of times. We had someone that
Uh,
they chose for a role that was going to be at his best friend's wedding in Chicago, and our issue was we needed him. I feel like we needed him in wardrobe, or like he would have come back Sunday night, but our line producer was very hesitant to be okay with that. And in the event that there was some sort of weather or something or another, it was winter, it was Chicago. And so we had to make a second choice, and ultimately it wouldn't have been an issue. The dates moved as they always do on our show, and so
Right.
we absolutely could have had him, but it is what it is. Where it
Right.
was, and it was a weekend, so he didn't really think that it would make a difference, and he was 100% forthright, which we really appreciated. We
Yeah.
tried to get him approved for a different role later in the season, and they went with someone else, but we really liked him, so like we weren't going to punish him for being in his best friend's wedding. Like,
Right. Right. Absolutely.